Okay, social drinking in India, which was once taboo, is now not just fashionable but revered as an art form, and it can be a fantastic icebreaker and provide wings to your creativity. So let's learn how to do it right. And we've got Vikram Achanta, co-founder and CEO Tulleeho, a drinks training and consulting firm. They have things like this now. And Bar X, which is a bar accessory business. He's a first-generation entrepreneur who enjoys writing about beverages and is a regular columnist for a number of magazines and newspapers that include Outlook, Outlook Business, The Man, Hospitality Biz India, and Man's World. With Vikram is Pankaj Arora, the training manager with Tulleeho and an ex-hotelier with about 11 years of work experience, and I believe most of it at the ITC. So Vikram and Pankaj, if I could request both of you, it's weird to see you drinking coffee or tea before coming up for a mix the drinks session. So come up.
Good evening, everyone. And first of all, thanks to Raj and Aparna for that absolutely fascinating discussion. It was very engrossing. Thanks. Another round of applause from my side, at least, for that. Super. How many of you all drink? I know you're sitting here, but how many of you all drink? Just a quick snap poll. 1, 2, 3. No lies, please. Oh, come on, really, what is this? Yeah. So just about 10 of you all. The rest of you all can leave. Huh? Do haath. Alcohol. Yeah. How many of you all drink alcohol? Okay, so that's much better. Much better. Yeah. So now I know how many of you all want us to leave soon so you can hit the bar, right? Yeah. You're at the bar? Okay, great. And because we're between you and the bar or your way back home, we'll just whet your appetite a little bit along with demonstrating a few drinks and also tasting them along the way, right? Yeah. Right, Pankaj? Some nice drinks for them to taste and mix? Yes. Great. I'm here today with my colleague, Pankaj Arora, and Pankaj will be doing all the heavy lifting in terms of the fun stuff of actually making the drinks. I'll be running through some stuff on cocktail history. So the way we'll run this is, I'll run you through some stuff on the evolution of the cocktail, and after that we'll actually taste what I'm talking about. So we'll teach history the fun way, yeah? So it's cocktail history, and you'll actually be tasting it. Along with any other field of human endeavor, the cocktail too had its birth. It was born about a century and more ago. And it had several practitioners around the world who took their craft really, which led to the evolution of the cocktail and cocktail trends all around the world. And some of those trends, as we'll see, have still sustained even more than 150 years ago after they were pioneered. It's really fascinating stuff which was done a long, long time ago, which we're still talking about and which we're still drinking and trying. And it's not just those practitioners, but it's also popular culture which has helped cocktails evolve and has helped cocktails grow. I mean, the Cosmopolitan, to name one, who would have heard of it if it wasn't for a show like Sex and the City? Yeah? And that was the go-to drink for Carrie Bradshaw and her friends, the Cosmo. We had an American ad show called Mad Men, which featured Don Draper and his old fashions, and he made the old fashioned fashionable again along with drinking at work. Yeah? So some amazing things which have happened along the way, which have helped cocktails evolve and help them become popular. And we'll be talking about that. Along the way, Pankaj will also be demonstrating some drinks. We'll be tasting them, and we'll also invite some volunteers to come up from the audience and actually see what we're talking about and help you get your hands dirty also. Any guesses? When was the word cocktail first mentioned in print? Which year? Which year was the cocktail first mentioned in print? Yeah, I have a chocolate here for the closest correct answer. 1881, we have Married with 1881. He's in the right century, let me put it that way. Any other guesses? 1843, Abhijit is going closer. Warmer. 1828, no. 1818, sold. No, any other guesses? I'll have two last guesses before I. No. The answer is 1806. In 1806, Abhijit, here's the chocolate for the closest. Yeah, round of applause. In 1806, the word cocktail was first mentioned by this editor, and the way he defined it was a stimulating liquor composed of spirits of any kind mixed with water, sugar, and bitters. So that's the way the cocktail was first defined. And the word cocktail itself, in terms of how it came into being, how did the word cocktail, what is the etymology of the word, the cocktail? And the several creation myths behind the word cocktail. The one that is probably the most popular and is the most fascinating revolves around an innkeeper in America called Betsy Flanagan. And Betsy Flanagan, back in 1797, served a group of visiting French soldiers with a beverage in which she used as a garnish feathers from a neighbor's rooster. Yeah? And the French soldiers, they raised a toast to Betsy, and they said the words, "Vive les cocktails," which is how it's believed the word cocktail first came. Vive les cocktails is how this first happened or first came about. From a cocktail history or cocktail ages perspective, historians call this the archaic age of the cocktail, which is the first age of the cocktail from 1783 till about 1830. Yeah. We moved on from there to the Baroque age of the cocktail. And the first great personality in really the world of cocktails and bartending, a gentleman called Jerry Thomas, known as the Professor. He wrote the first real book about cocktails, which still is in print, called The Bartender's Guide, way back in 1862. And you see him, there's a photo on the screen which in front of you. You see him mixing a drink called the Blue Blazer. And the Blue Blazer was a very difficult drink to practice and to do, because he basically lit up 2 glasses of whiskey and poured them back and forth between those glasses of whiskey without spilling a single drop. Yeah? Quite an incredible feat. Yeah. And you'll still find bars around the world which are making the Blue Blazer. So if you want to go into a bar, you want to really test the bartender and show off your knowledge, ask them if they can make the Blue Blazer for you. They'll look at you as and give you a free drink. Just try it sometimes. Yeah, I guarantee it. Yeah? And it'll be a brave bartender who actually makes the drink without spilling it. So the Blue Blazer is something which Jerry Thomas pioneered back in the mid-1850s, and he's known as the father of American mixology, really. Around this time, another style of drink came about, which we're all familiar with and which we probably all drunk, even if we drink alcohol or we don't, called punch. We've all heard of the punch. We've all drunk a punch or 2 or 3 in our lifetime. A good punch comprises 5 ingredients. It comprises, obviously, alcohol, some lemon, some sugar, some water, and some bitters. Yeah? So 5 ingredients for the word punch. For the second chocolate of the day, where did that word come from? Where did it originate from? The word punch. Magan, you can't answer. Anybody else? I'll come back to you later. Anybody else? Where did the word punch come from? Yeah. The feeling that you get a nice answer, probably true also, but anything else? Anybody else? Where did that word punch come from? I've given you a hint right in how I described punch. Sanskrit. Can you carry on from there? So? Punch is 5. Here's your chocolate. Yeah. So back in the British Raj, and the British Raj is when the punch came into being, and because it had 5 ingredients, it was called punch. So the British took punch and made it punch, which is how the word punch evolved. So we can also claim birth to the cocktail, yeah, as Indians. You want your chocolate, sir? Yeah. I can't chuck it that far. Yeah. So that's the punch. If you want to try a good punch in Delhi, the bar to go to is Ek Bar. Ek Bar in Defense Colony serves the Royal Indian Punch. It's a great drink. I would really recommend you go and try it. Really nice drink to have. We'll move on quickly from the next stage to what we call the classic age of the cocktail, which lasted till about 1920, when Prohibition hit America, which is a really bad thing to happen. Prohibition also led to an old style of brain drain. So a lot of top bartenders from America began to move to foreign shores. Harry Craddock, a top bartender of that time, moved to London and joined the American bar, the Savoy Hotel. He also authored a book called the Savoy Cocktail Book, which is treated as probably one of the most famous cocktail books of the 20th century. Because for the first time, somebody actually documented the cocktails of that time and of that era. And if he hadn't done that, we'd have lost all those cocktail recipes to history. Yeah, so an amazing feat by Harry back then. And Prohibition also witnessed the birth of another trend, which was a type of bar called the speakeasy bar. Have you heard of the speakeasy bar? Yeah. So a speakeasy bar really was an illegal bar back then in America because bars and drinking were illegal. But there were certain places where if you knew where that particular bar was, or you knew what the code word was to enter, you could speak easy and enter the bar. So that's why they were called speakeasy bars. There's been a trend to revive old practices in drinks. Vintage drinks are back in fashion, and so are vintage styles of bar like the speakeasy bar. Yeah. That's a speakeasy bar pictured right there in the picture. It's called Criff Dogs. It's in New York. It's a hot dog joint, so you can walk in there and enjoy some amazing hot dogs. But in the corner of the bar is a telephone booth. Yeah. And people who know can walk into the telephone booth, pick up the receiver, and if the person other end the line likes your voice or likes what you're saying, the whole wall will swivel James Bond style, and somebody will come out to greet you, to take you into that bar. But you have absolutely no clue of what's behind that phone booth or what's behind that wall. I spent 2 hours eating hot dogs, waiting for them to let me in. But they didn't let me in, unfortunately. Because these bars are also extremely conscious of the environment which they have within the bar. They're conscious of the experience which the guests are having in the bar, so they don't overcrowd that particular bar. There's very limited standing and seating place. So they I would say, extremely customer-focused in the manner and their approach. Yeah. Back in Delhi, we have some speakeasy bars. Do you know any speakeasy bars in Delhi? Yeah, which one is that? Exactly, you have a phone number. That's PCO. So PCO in Vasant Vihar is a speakeasy bar. PCO stands for passcode only, yeah, or whatever, please call only. So. It's named Cocktails and Dreams Speakeasy, but it's not an actual speakeasy because you have the name right in center. In a speakeasy bar, you actually don't know where the bar is, really. Yeah? So while we're talking about speakeasy bars and the classic age of the cocktail, we're going to take a jump from the 1950s, I would say, back to the future and into our first real demonstration of a drink. Now, food and drink are extremely closely connected subjects, and they keep borrowing practices and techniques and ingredients from each other. And this is a technique which the bar borrowed from the kitchen, because back in 1992, a physical chemist and a physicist coined a term called molecular gastronomy. Yeah? Molecular gastronomy essentially meant taking a dish which we're all familiar with and reinventing it with scientific techniques or chemicals to change the form or texture of the drink. So the experience you had as a consumer was completely different to what you would normally expect from the drink. And those of us who visited, say, a Farzi cafe or a Molecule or an Indian Accent would have experienced that in terms of the dishes or the drinks we might have ate or drank there. A small example is a drink called the Mojito. I'm sure a lot of us will consume the Mojito either in alcoholic or non-alcoholic form. And the essential ingredients of a Mojito are rum, their mint, and their lime. Yeah? So Bacardi asked the gentleman there in the frame called Eben Freeman to reinvent or to invent the Mojito of the future. So Eben Freeman took together rum, mint, and lime, and you see that glass with those orbs in them, those tiny orbs. So he used xanthan gum and gelatin along with these ingredients to create those orbs. So when you bite into that orb, you're actually getting the entire flavor and appeal of the Mojito, but not in a liquid form, but really in a semi-solid form. So you just change the entire texture and composition of the drink to transform your drinking experience as a consumer. Yeah? So the first trend really that we'll be demonstrating to kick this off is molecular mixology. And the drink which Pankaj will be making today, the first drink, is a drink called cherry caviar. We'll be using a technique called spherification. I'll let Pankaj walk you through the rest of it. Yeah.
So we'll start with molecular mixology. Molecular mixology is, general question, when we were in school, early stages, what are the 3 states of any substance? Solid, liquid, and gas. So molecular mixology is an amalgamation or a mingle of chemistry and mixology. So today in spherification, what we'll be doing is we will be changing vodka, cherry syrup, and some angostura bitter, which is liquid, to a solid form, and that will be semi-solid. It will be covered with a thin membrane, and we will be serving that to you. you will be getting in those caviars on your table in a shot glass. You can taste that. I'll be doing a demo for that. I've got sodium alginate and calcium. So sodium alginate is a natural product which is a derivative of brown algae and which makes a liquid viscous. It thickens the liquid. And calcium gives, when we dip that viscous liquid into calcium, it will give a membrane on that liquid. So I'll start now. Yeah, that's better because so in molecular mixology, we need to measure everything, as in cocktails always. So I'm taking 70 ml of vodka, $50 ml of cherry syrup, five dashes of Angostura bitter. Now I will add the magical sodium alginate. I'll add like this only. So it will be 50 ml of sodium alginate, which will make my liquid viscous. You have to mix it thoroughly. So this is ready. Now I will make my calcium bath, which is 30 ml of calcium, it's mixed with water actually. So it is a concentrated calcium liquid. It comes in powder also. Chloride, calcium chloride. Yeah. I'm sorry, calcium chloride. 250 ml of water. Mix it nicely. Now veterinary injection for buffaloes. I'll take the smaller one. So we'll make squares or caviars. So I'll take out some And there must be some caviar on your table. Not enough. They want more caviar. So, anybody would like to try? Yes, please, please. If you'd like, I've got some more syringes. So now you have to keep pressure, constant pressure on the syringe. Oh, constant pressure. Make drops, make drops, make drops. Yeah, that's good, that's good. So you can see formation of small balls. Anybody else who would like to try, Mr. Magan?
It's fun. Nobody thought injection could be so much fun.
Anybody else? Please. Pressure. Yeah. So keep constant pressure, but drops. Take it on height. Take it on height. It will come nicely. Yeah. Can you see? Caviar is getting formed. It's settling down. So, yeah. So if I take it out, it will take a little time, but it will be all set. Yeah. The water is not too great actually. It has got more calcium. That's fine. That's fine.
On skin. If it gets popped on skin, it will burn, but it will burn or something.
No, nothing. It is purely safe. It is food grade.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's about molecular mixology. Now I'll hand over to Vikram. He'll go ahead with presentation and then I'll come up with the next cocktail.
Little bit of rocket science for you. We wanted to just show you what's happening out there and just break away from the normal usual cocktails which you're probably used to. And how did that taste? What was the experience like of tasting the cherry caviar? Needed more vodka in that? You don't drink, Rini? Yeah. Pankaj, next time more vodka. More vodka. Less cherry, more vodka. Good. So that was a little bit about molecular mixology and just showcasing some of the trends which are out there and which are futuristic trends. But let's go back a bit back in time. We're talking about now the 50s to the 80s, and we were talking about popular culture and the influence of popular culture on cocktails. And when one gentleman we can't go without naming is Mr. Bond, James Bond. James Bond was responsible for two very important things. One is he brought back the martini in fashion. I mean, the martini was a drink which was dying out, and he brought back the martini, but this time as a vodka martini. So he reinvented the martini as a vodka martini, which was traditionally the martini is a gin-based drink, and because of what James Bond said in Casino Royale, the martini came roaring back into fashion. Yeah. This vodka-based martini was called the Vesper after his girlfriend in the movie Casino Royale, Vesper Lind. The other thing which he did was he brought into public awareness two major styles of mixology when he said shaken not stirred. Yeah, so suddenly people said, what's this big deal about shaken not stirred? And when we do cocktail workshops with consumers, that's one thing which we try and do with them, to talk about shaken not stirred and what the magic is behind that. So hats off to James Bond and what he did for the world of cocktails, really. Yeah. The other trend which came about in that period, in the 40s and the 50s, which again is now prevalent, is tiki. Some of you have heard the word tiki drinks, tiki culture. Yeah. And those carvings you see out there are really replicas of carvings found on islands in the South Pacific in Polynesia. So these are carvings of ancient gods of the Polynesian people. And in fact, in Maori myth, tiki is actually referred to as the first man. Yeah. So what mixologists did was they took these myths and these religious beliefs and transformed them into a whole style of drinks called tiki drinks and tiki culture. Inventive chaps, mixologists. And with every drinking movement and every drinking style, you had somebody who was a father or a mother for that particular movement. And in this case, one of the main pioneers of tiki drinks was a gent called Victor Bergeron. Yeah. Whom you see in the picture. Victor Bergeron pioneered, set up a chain of bars around the world called Trader Vic's. One set up in Bangalore some time back. I think it had to close down, unfortunately. But you will find Trader Vic's outposts in several parts of the world. And they are tiki style bars, which are very much rum-focused bars, because tricky drinks are primarily about rum cocktails. Victor Bergeron's other contribution to the world of cocktails is a drink which he made. And after he made that, he sampled it with a group of visiting friends from Tahiti. And he asked one of them, how did that drink taste? And one of them said, Mai Tai ROA, which figuratively meant out of this world. And that's how the drink called the Mai Tai was born. Yeah? It's a cocktail called the Mai Tai, an amazing cocktail, very simple to make, and has a pretty interesting derivation or etymology of the name. Those of you who want to know where Tulleeho got its name from can meet me at the bar later. Yeah? And now, Pankaj is going to make a Mai Tai for you, so we'll jump quickly into our next drink, and due to the generosity of Knowledge Factory, we'll also be serving you a sample of the Mai Tai at your table, in a more generous portion than the cherry caviar. Yeah? Yeah? But don't drink too much. So that's the Mai Tai. Pankaj, over to you back again. Yeah.
So Mai
And
Tai.
those, so those glasses you see over there, Pankaj, just show them a glass.
Sure.
Yeah. So those glasses you see over there are really replicas of those ancient carvings on those Polynesian islands. So even the stoneware and the glassware used for these particular drinks is a unique style of serve for these particular drinks. So with every drink, it's not just about the simple drink, it's about serving it, about its presentation, its backstory, its history. It's not as simple as just going into a bar and saying, I'll have a Mai Tai, but just learn a little bit about what's behind that particular drink and its story. So those are the glasses you serve typically a tiki style drinks in. Over to you, Pankaj.
Yeah. So I'm just taking 1 minute, sending some stuff back. So Mai Tai, anybody aware that where was Mai Tai in Hollywood? When was Mai Tai featured in any of the movie? Any movie you know? Mai Tai. Cocktail Mai Tai. Some cleaning water. So for Mai Tai, I'm making 2 portions of Mai Tai right now here. We need dark rum, 30 ml of dark rum. $30 ml of white rum, 10 ml of orgeat syrup, which is available in Monin. 10 ml of triple sec, and 60 ml of pineapple juice. Some ice. So it was a soft shake, so I'll just pour this drink in a tiki mug and garnish with lemon juice. Here's your Mai Tai. Please. So there is a rum float on this. Let me do that for you.